friends! I'm Heather. Welcome back to Belle's Library. And today I am going to go through an unhaul with you. I've got this lovely stack of books here, and it's time to say goodbye to them. Before we jump into all of that, please get down below, click subscribe, check out my Instagram and Goodreads, and we can chit-chat bookish on all of these different platforms together. And we'll go ahead and get started into these books that I need to get rid of. If you haven't heard in one of my recent videos, me and my family are moving from California all the way to Tennessee, and so I'm really trying to unhaul some books. Hence, we've got all these books that are going. I did do try a chapter recently on some books that I wasn't sure that I was still interested in, and wanted to try out the first chapter and see if maybe it pulled me in, or maybe it was like, all right, these can go. So I do have a few of those books included here, and I will link that video for you guys if you want to check it out and see more thoughts there as well. And then I also just have some other books that I've read and maybe only semi-enjoyed. I'm trying to read books off of my shelf as much as possible in the next month. I'm getting close to about a month now. To try and see if I want to keep them or not. So that's kind of part of this project as well. So let's go ahead and start with the top of the stack and see where we're at. So the first book I have here is Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. This one I read recently in a vlog, and did I read this one in a vlog? I don't remember now, actually. I think I did. But it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. It was a semi-enjoyable mystery type book. I honestly can't remember too much about. We've got, what's her name, Libby. Her, like, the whole family, like, gets murdered, and they think it's her brother that does it. But then, like, there's this society group of people that don't think that the brother did it, and it's many years later, and they want to talk to Libby and find out more, and maybe get some trinkets from her, and she can make money by talking to them. And she basically trying to prove that the brother didn't do it. And so she starts actually investigating a little bit more, because she's like, maybe I can make more money if I'm like finding out more for these people. So, but yeah, I mean, it was okay. It just wasn't anything that I'm like, let me keep the book, because I loved it. Next, Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. Another thriller that just like, it had some interesting kind of twist. But I felt like halfway through, I knew where most of it was going to go. I wasn't like super, it was really fast read. I read it in like a day. So I did read through it quite quickly. It just wasn't anything that blew me away. It was this thriller about this lady whose daughter went missing, and it's like 10 years later or something like that. And she's been divorced since, and she starts seeing this new guy, and she meets his daughter, who's 9 years old and looks pretty much identical to her daughter when she was that age. And she's like, that's kind of weird and uncanny, and things kind of unfold from there. Next, we have Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. This was a part of my try a chapter tag. I'm realizing I'm not super into like the family drama thriller type thing, and this kind of falls in there. It's something that I still may go back and decide to read, because I know a lot of people really enjoyed this, but I don't need the book. I can always just borrow it from my library or something. So that's kind of how I'm feeling about it. It's about this family who has a rental, and this other family moves in, and it causes some drama in like the neighborhood or something. The first chapter is like the family that has the rental house. They, I think, are like a prominent family in the neighborhood, but their house goes up in flames, and the rest of like the kids and everybody's like sitting outside watching their house, except for one of the kids, and they're pretty sure that that's who set the fire. And then I think you kind of jump back and you're leading up to that event in the book. But I think that a lot of people could like this. It's just, I don't think it's my cup of tea anymore. Or maybe never was. I think that's something I'm just realizing about my reading. And then we have Ape House. This is by Sarah Gruen. I read this years ago. It's been quite a while. I know there's something with like the apes doing like sign language, and I think Isabel feels more comfortable in their world than she's ever felt among humans until she meets John Thigpen. And explosion rocks the lab. And so she's trying to like save her family of apes. I think there was like something about like people feeling like the apes were being exploited or something. I don't know. I picked this up for it because Sarah Gruen wrote Water for Elephants and I wanted to read more of her books. And I remember enjoying it. I didn't enjoy it as much as Water for Elephants, but I did enjoy it. But it's not something that's stuck with me enough to where I'm like, yeah, let me keep this book. Then we have One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. I actually read the first chapter of this in a different chapter that I did on different fall books that I was trying to get into, and I believe this one might be on my self-destruct video as well. So I don't know. When I picked this up, I think it sounded interesting to me, but now I'm just kind of like, I don't know about this YA mystery thriller. I read the first chapter and it just feels very young to me and not like anything that exciting. And I just don't feel, even after reading that first chapter, I don't feel the pull to want to read this. I know a lot of people have really enjoyed it. Maybe I'll go back and read it someday, but I'm not feeling drawn to it. It's about these like 5 kids go into detention and each one is like the jock and the nerd or something. The brain, the beauty, the criminal, the athlete, and the outcast. And then one of them ends up dying in detention and the other 4 all have motives, so they're trying to figure out who did it. Next we have A Million Junes by Emily Henry. I actually really enjoyed this when I read it. It was a really good book. I just don't think I'll go back and read it, and I don't think it's anything like super, I don't know. I gave it 4 stars. I definitely really enjoyed it. I did. I don't know that I need to keep it. I'm trying to really like be ruthless a little bit with getting rid of some books. So this says it's like a Romeo and Juliet retelling. So for as long as June O'Donnell has been alive, her parents have had only one rule: stay away from the Angert family. So these 2 families that don't get along. But when June collides, quite literally, with Saul Angert, sparks fly and everything June has always known is thrown into chaos. I remember this one. It really is a cute story. I don't know. I'm almost tempted to like keep this one. But the 2 of them like start hanging out, but there's like a certain magical realism piece to her house where she lives and these memories. She can like go into people's memories from the past that have passed on, and there's a really cool like tree in the woods that kind of like is connected to some of this magic going around the house, and why the 2 of them, like anytime an Angert and an O'Donnell are near each other, like bad things seem to happen like every time. Somebody will break an arm or, you know, I don't know, something like that. So they try to stay away from each other. Then we have Pure Nessie by Susanna Clark. I still kind of intrigued to read this one as well. I haven't read it yet, but it does have kind of an odd setup, an odd way of writing, and I don't know if I'm going to like it or if it's going to go anywhere, and so I'm just like, I'm not going to read it anytime soon, so that I know of. So I think I'm just going to like move past it for now, and I can always borrow it from the library. But you're following Pure Nessie, and he has this house that's full of like all these rooms and corridors, and he's like the only one that lives there besides the other, who's trying to figure out some secret of the world or something. And Pure Nessie's just like journaling about his day-to-day experiences in this house and different things that happen there, and he meets with the other like twice a week, and that's kind of generally what it's about. So not a huge plot story, I don't think. Then we have The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter. This one I also haven't read, but I just don't know if I'm like feeling the vibes. I'm a little nervous it's gonna be a little too dark for me. This one's like a mystery thriller. This lawyer's daughter, like you have before, something happened with this guy. He was like a public defender and he defended this guy that everybody thinks is guilty and got him off, and so people are pissed and they like catch his house on fire and stuff. And then we jump forward like 20 years and the daughter's now a lawyer and she's kind of getting herself into a similar mess. But I've heard it just, Karen Slaughter talks about some seriously dark, hard-hitting, rough stuff to get into, and I don't. Oh, these next couple books are Nursey books. So these are books I read them once. I don't think I'm going to read them again. They were enjoyable. I think if you're someone getting into nursing, these could be fun books for you to read. This one is basically about like a 24-hour period, I think, or 12 hours. Yeah. So one shift and the 4 patients that this nurse has and how she's connected and how she takes care of them throughout this one shift. And then this is just a collection of a bunch of different stories says, I wasn't strong like this when I started out. The stories of becoming a nurse. So just a collection of stories from a bunch of different nurses about when they started out. And, you know, it's not an easy thing to start out in. It takes time and experience to really get comfortable in the job. So kind of talking about that. Then I have Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. I have read another book by her, and I didn't enjoy it at all. I know this one's super popular. I think, though, I would enjoy the TV show more. This is kind of that family drama, thriller type thing where I'm just like, I don't know that I'm super into it. But I think the TV show actually would probably be pretty interesting. Then we have a dystopian, The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. I'm kind of over my dystopian phase, I think, at least for now, and I just don't see myself picking this up. It's about this girl, like, there's this plague when she's in, like, 3rd grade or something. All these kids are dying, and some of them survive, and then some of them end up getting powers, so they end up getting sent to Thurmond, which is, like, a school for them, but it's not a great place to be, and so she escapes with a bunch of other people when she's a teenager, and they're trying to make it to the safe haven, and I don't know, stuff like that. Two Truths and a Lie, again, another kind of family trauma, mystery thriller thing. I read the first chapter of this and basically was like this mom showing up. She's like new to town. She shows up to this surf club thing for her daughter to learn how to surf. But the other moms like are all talking before she gets there, like, oh, we don't need like a new mom. Like, we're a closed group. And then they're all like smiley. Oh, hi, you're new to town. Ooh. Just didn't really intrigue me, as you can tell. Could be good for certain people. It's just not my cup of tea, as I've learned. The Hunger Games. So I have the Hunger Games trilogy. When this was hyped up like a year ago because the next book came out, I was like, oh, I should go back and read the books. I've never read them before. Totally gonna do it. Again, not really feeling dystopian vibes. I watched the movies. I think I'm just kind of moving on from this. So that's how I'm feeling about these. Alex and Elisa by Melissa De La Cruz. I picked this up because the cover is stinking adorable. I was like, I don't really have a lot of pink books. Look at how cute this is. Maybe I'll like it. I read maybe like 50 or 60 pages of this because it's on my TBR for Belle's Bookland, and I just was not feeling it at all. Mainly because it's like kind of like this historical romance. So it's between like Alexander Hamilton and this girl Eliza, and it's set in like the American Revolutionary times. And I don't know, they were just like going to balls and talking about the revolution and fighting. Like, she's trying to like fight for materials to go to the soldiers, and you know, he's obviously a part of the war and like sending messages to different people. And I wasn't into the historical vibes of it, which is good to know that like that's just not something that I think I'm gonna vibe with. I've never been a history type person. I'm much more of a sciencey type person, and you know, it just isn't for me. Again, Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I know a lot of people love this, but I read her other book. I did really enjoy her short story, The Grown Up. I'm not interested in getting into it. Nothing's pulling me to this book. It's about like this woman, she goes missing. Her husband isn't being very helpful, so everybody's really suspicious of him and that he did it. This one, in my last UNHAUL, I was really debating. I wasn't sure I wanted to get rid of it because it's so beautiful. I did give this one 4 stars too. I really enjoyed the story, and it's the most gorgeous cover. Like, I adore this cover so much. It is so gorgeous. Like, I want to keep this still so bad. I just shouldn't even put it in this video. Just got rid of it before I could think about it. It's so beautiful. So this one is following these 2 teens, and they both have cystic fibrosis, and they meet in the hospital, but they have to stay 6 feet apart to not get each other sick because that could be very dangerous for them with their diseases. And yeah, so it's a cute little YA story. It just isn't one that I'm gonna reread. It's so beautiful. Maybe I will keep it. All right, last book. Let's see if we can keep this pile going without it falling. It's very, very wiggly over there. Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angeles. This is my beautiful Owlcrate edition. Oh my gosh, this book's gorgeous too. Oh, so beautiful. It's signed. I've got, you know, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. I didn't enjoy this book though. I had a hard time with the writing. I was frustrated because I felt like nothing got answered at the end of this book at all. And I was just like, I had so many questions. I like tapped all these things where I was like, oh, this could go somewhere. This would be really interesting. I had like 10 or 15 questions written down where I was like, what is this? What is that? And then nothing got answered. And then we just got this big fat cliffhanger. And then I was having a hard time with the writing anyways. So it just didn't pay off to get through the book. So this just wasn't my cup of tea. I know a lot of people are really enjoying it. It just wasn't for me at all. And so I'm gonna let somebody else enjoy this gorgeous book. Because, yeah, I mean, at least with the other one that's beautiful, I enjoyed it for the most part. But this one, I just didn't. But it's so beautiful, too. So there it is, my books that I'm unhauling at the moment. I'm sure I will end up unhauling more. I'm trying to read through as many as I can. So hopefully one more big unhaul will come before I move. That's kind of what I'm working towards, is just, yeah, really trying to narrow down the books as much as possible. I think my husband really wants me to start boxing them up after Thanksgiving in like a week. So we'll see how that goes. And I would love for you guys to throw an emoji down below, maybe like a little fire, warm me up because it's getting cold. And I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good day, guys. Bye.